Hi, in this video I'd like to show you how to generate random numbers in visualbasics.net. Now this is going to be a voiceover on one of the recordings I made in class. The issue was I used a laptop that it made a lot of noise. So I didn't like the sound quality, so here I am narrating it. So I want to cover the function randomize, show you the random number generator and its various overloads. What does that mean? The various methods that the random number generator has for us available to use. All right, so let's go to this part where I create my project over here. So I create a new VB.net project and I call it using random numbers, no spaces, capital letters on keywords. That's our form. Double click into the form. And when you double click into the form, the Visual Studio generates the form load event for us because it's guessing that we want to program the form load. That's why we double clicked on the form. So we're going to put the word randomize in there. So what that does is it kicks in the randomizer. So it makes our random function more random, basically more random. But in the computer, randomness is pseudo-random. You know, it's not really random. It's made to appear random. But you know, it's basic. It's not really random there. If you want real randomness, you know, you need to really, you can probably throw a dice or, you know, do something, even that, you know. But anyway, for our purposes, this is good enough. We're going to put our global variables in that region of the code, right at the top, just after our public class form, and we're going to create our random number generator as a global variable. Well, global in this context. In some ways, in Visual Basics, being global is really, you're still within the scope. You're still kind of local to this form, you could say. So other forms will see random number generator as local to itself. But anyway, so that's how we write it. We go dim, give it whatever name you want, as random equals new random open close brackets, and that generates your randomizing object. So this is the object that we'll use to create random numbers here. Okay, so I'm probably explaining something to my students, and now I show them how to use the random number generator. You write the name, and then you can see, like, you press dot, and then it lists a number of different methods that this thing offers, basically. Now they're the base methods for basically every object in our .NET framework. So, but these three, and this one as well, and these three are the ones that are part of the random number generator random object here. So we've got NextBytes, and NextDouble, and they're all, you know, slightly different. Next, I like to use, basically Next allows us to have a min-max, and it only generates whole numbers. This one generates random bytes, and this one generates floating point numbers or double floating point numbers, basically decimal point numbers. So which one will I use first? I'll use Next first, and then if you open, and Next got two overloads. So actually you can use the this version where you don't put any inputs, and this version actually gives you non-negative random numbers. All right, so only positive numbers. Actually, there's three overloads. There's three, yeah, because that's the three. So we can do that. So you can put in your max value as an integer. So you can put in generate a random number up to some max value, and it'll give you an integer back. So this one gives integers back. So it'll give you a random number between, let's say you put 10 in there, it will give you a random number between 0 and 10, whole numbers. They're all integers. And another way you can do it is you can put something comma something, and that's a minimum maximum. So you can actually generate a number between some minimum, some max. So you don't have to be only max. It doesn't have to be only max. So right now we generate a number between 0 and 20. And what we're going to do is we're going to store it into this particular variable here, and we can use that variable for other purposes, right? Right, so you can just put a max, or you can put a min and max, min comma max. So that's another way you could use the next. But next seems to generate whole numbers only. So right now I'm just going to show you what's inside the random number. When the form loads, it will generate a random number, and it looks like I'm running the wrong form. Let me just set it to the right form. So set it as, right click, set as startup project, this current one, and there you go, generate the random number 4. Now if I run that again, it should generate a different number. There you go, it generates a number 2. Now if we didn't put randomize, if we didn't put that randomize, if I ran it again, it will generate the number 4 again, and then the next number you could do. Randomize makes it so that it doesn't produce a sequence of random numbers that are that is used again, basically. So that's the importance of putting randomize there. But if you want it to generate predictable set of random numbers, you don't have to put randomize. Like, you want it to be random for the game, but not random to you. So you don't need to put the word randomize. So over here, I put a button in, and I call it random jump. So I'm actually showing the students how you could get this thing jumping around to random locations using the random number generator. BTN random jumps to what I call jumper, or what I call the button. So this thing's going to jump around, pop, 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 pop. Every time I click on it, we're going to get that thing to jump around. So we double click on the button so that the event appears for the button when we click on it, and we're going to grab the random number generator and slot it into our button, and we're going to generate a random number. Every time we click on this button, it will generate a random number, and it will put it into random. No, but actually I'm going to change that to X. So we generate a random X value, and we generate a random Y value, and we just copy and paste the code there, and we're going to generate a number between 0 to 20. Now we need to use these X's and Y's to set our position of the button. So to do that, we'll write the button's name. So we get to the object, the button object, and then the button object has a property called local. So we go dot local equals new point, and the new point will be the X and Y that we generated from our random number generator that we created as a global. Now, something to note, in practice, you want to always create your random number as a global thing. You don't want to create random numbers inside as locals. All right, it just helps the randomization, because you're going to the next random number, and if you generate 2 different objects, anyway, that's just the way I do it. That's what I found to be best. So when you click on it, it jumps around, but you notice it jumps around between 1 and 20, and that location is between 1 and 20 because the number that we're generating is between, sorry, not 1 and 20, 0 and 20. So if you want it to jump around the whole screen, you just need to increase the maximum of the random number. So right there, it's 20. Just put in whatever the screen's width is, and you can actually access the screen's width. You can write. Now you can't write form 1 because it doesn't know itself as form, but you can write me dot. You can go me dot size. You can do screen as well, but anyway. We don't want to jump around the screen. We'll me.size.width, and that will give you whatever the current size of the form is, the width of the form, the current height of the form, so that this thing will jump around within the whole space of the form. There you go. And just recall that the reference for the button, I just call it, is at the top corner here, and right now it's generated a number right at the edge of the form, so it jumps right outside. So if you don't want it to jump outside the form size, what you could do is put a little bit of a buffer. I wonder if I do the buffer in this video. Yeah, I knock it down by 20 pixels so that it doesn't jump so far out and so far down. Anyway, that pretty much concludes how to create a number generator. Create it as a global variable, and then you can go .next, and you can use NextDouble, NextByte, or next with a min and max. Thanks for listening.